A very good evening to all our esteemed viewers. In today's world, good etiquettes hold a pivotal place and is a desired trait in any normal, healthy individual. Good etiquette should be a core strength of each individual. It is aptly said that good manners have much to do with the emotions. To make them ring true, one must feel them, not merely exhibit them. Yes, good etiquette holds an integral part in an individual's personality, but often we wonder how to achieve this. To find a solution to this issue of ours, I welcome on board Ms. Shalini, who is a certified good etiquettes coach. She will be guiding us in realizing the importance of etiquettes in today's world. She has experienced a global life and has lived in Indonesia, Dubai, Egypt, Bahrain, and Oman for more than 12 years. Having worked in MNC advertising agencies, she has learned the ropes of marketing and handled multimedia campaigns. She gradually evolved as a communication person and has kept in touch with not only traditional media like the TV, press, and outdoor, but new media like the digital and social media as well as content. I extend a very warm welcome to you, Ms. Shalini, on behalf of the DCM Group of Schools.
Thank you, Ms. Kirat. A very good evening to you all, dear students, the parent community, the faculty members, and the respected management of the DCM Group of Schools. It is indeed an honor, and I'm delighted at this opportunity, and more importantly, at the trust reposed in me to be present here to discuss the all-important topic of manners and etiquette in today's world, knowledge and awareness of which can go to help us achieve success in our social and professional lives. I'll just start with my presentation. I'll share the screen so that you can follow. It is said, if you don't, others won't either. Remember, the world sees what you put out there, so hold yourself to a high level of grace and elegance. Just to give you a small introduction on how manners and etiquettes have evolved in India from the 1960s. So in the corporate India of the 1960s, there existed two sets of young professionals, young men and women, who had mastered the finer nuances of manners and etiquette in social and professional lives. One set was the Old Boys Club. Now, the Old Boys Club gentlemen and the women had access to prestigious public schools, city colleges, and colonial clubs. So they learned their manners and etiquettes from there. The other set, picked up their manners and etiquette training through induction into institutions like the Indian Armed Forces and through interactions with families that frequented the services club, like you have the Army Club or the United Services Club. So so you have the Navy Club. So those are the kind of clubs that the families went to in those days. And these children who got inducted into the Indian Armed Forces, they interacted with these families and therefore picked up their social graces and etiquettes from there. Unfortunately, in the current scenario, we have a lot of young executives, who are so eager to climb up the corporate ladder, and the clubs are inaccessible to all of them. So educational institutions today endeavor to deliver a polished product that's well-groomed, well-informed, has a presentable personality, and knows their manners and etiquette. So educational institutions, the finer educational institutions today want to inculcate a learning of manners and etiquette in their students. So let's discuss a little bit about what manners are. As we know it, we learn manners during our growing years. And who do we learn it from? We learn it from our parents. We learn it at the school that we go to, and we learn it from the environment that we are growing up in. Manners are nothing but a way of polite behavior. And ever since we've grown up, we've always been told respect your elders, be polite, speak politely, open the door to the people, hold the door open to the people who are following you, or offer your seat to the differently abled people on the bus or in any public space. So these are the little manners, so on and so forth. These are the manners that we've learned over the years. And what is etiquette? Etiquette is nothing but a formal execution of the manners that you've learned over the years. It is a code of conduct or a set of rules for polite behavior. How did the word etiquette originate? It originated from the words a ticket, which meant that the bearer of the ticket knew the rules of admittance behind closed doors. So, rules of admittance would be the rules that were asked for in terms of manners, and the closed doors would mean formal places, elite places like clubs, theaters, opera, or a fine dine restaurant. So, in those really elite places, the bearer of the ticket knew how he is supposed to behave, and that's what got him entry into those places. So, that's how the word etiquette has originated. So, it's nothing but a formal execution of the manners that we've learned. Just to give you a small example, we all learned table manners as a part of growing up, and the table manners taught us to eat in a mannerly fashion when we were seated at the dining table. Now, so those manners would be to chew our food with our mouths closed, not to speak with our mouths open, not to speak with food in our mouth, and not to have our elbows on the table all the time, um, not to mess our hands while eating, use cutlery while eating, not to avoid spillage, you know, things like that. And what is etiquette? So, how does etiquette differ from manners? And what is etiquette? We have dining etiquette, which teaches us which cutlery to use for which course of the meal. Not to put that the fact that we can actually have our elbows on the table in between courses and at the end of the meal. Etiquette also teaches us what is the right way to rest our cutlery between courses and after a meal. So that's how etiquette differs from manners. Etiquette is a formal execution of manners. Now, over the years, etiquette has been simplified, changed, or tweaked to fit in with the modern times. In the olden days, you had girls, who girls and boys who had to curtsy when they met, senior people. So they would just have a gentle bow, which was called a curtsy. Men would tip their hats, But we don't follow that etiquette now, because etiquette over the years, just as society has evolved, etiquette has evolved and has been changed to fit in with the modern times. So it is nothing difficult. It's not rocket science. Anybody can learn etiquette if they want to, and the focus of etiquette is only comfort. And now etiquette can be very easily and simply understood as something that makes you comfortable in the middle of people and makes others comfortable with you. So that's how we will define etiquette today: how to make others comfortable in our company and how to be comfortable in other people's company, right? So, what is the importance of manners and etiquette? It makes you more likable, acceptable, and respected. When you display the right manners, the proper behavior, when you show polite behavior, when you show kindness, you show consideration, you show compassion, it makes you more likable, acceptable, and respected. Now, as human beings, The first fear of any interaction that any of us has is that of acceptance. So that is done away with if we are well behaved, and people are drawn to us automatically. And how does it translate for us? What does it do for us? It gives us a sense of higher self esteem and a higher self confidence. When people are drawn to us, when we make a positive impression by behaving in the right way, following our manners and etiquette to the T, we have a higher sense of self esteem, higher self confidence. And when people are drawn to us, that takes away the fear of acceptance. We are accepted, we are respected, we are liked by people. Don't we like to be liked by people? We all like to be liked by people and accepted by people. The use of manners and etiquette contributes to a positive impression. People will be drawn to you. People will have a positive opinion about you, and they will want to get to know you, and they will enjoy themselves in your company. Everybody wants to be in the company of well mannered people, well groomed people, right? So, and your etiquette and manners, if used well, will help you foster healthy and long lasting relationships. And we'll come to the relationship part of it after a few slides. Okay. So, what are relationships and how do they help us? What do we get out of having healthy and long lasting relationships? Why is there so much of stress on relationships? We as humans are social animals. We love social activity. We love socializing with people. That's just the way we are made. And who are these people who we look for as relate to make relationships? It's our family, it's our friends, and it is the extended groups and communities that we are a part of. And when we talk of groups and communities, who do we mean? So we mean, of course, our family and friends. It means the social clubs that we are members of, the school we go to, the place where we work, the neighborhood where we live, the residential complex where we live. So all of that forms the part of the group and communities that we are a part of. So that is our relationships that we make over a period of time. And relationships offer emotional and mental well being to us. I told you we are social animals, we love socializing, we love to share our joys and happiness with people around us, and that's how we celebrate our festivals, we celebrate our birthdays. We want our friends around us, we want our acquaintances to know how we are doing. And we love by nature, we are the type who love to interact, and therefore relationships become important. We love to share our joys and our happiness with our relationships. And through these good times with them, we make good memories. Okay? So we look at relationships also to give us a sense of security. And how do they do that? Every time we are having a tough time, we look at sharing it with our relationships as well. And they, empathize with us. They always lend us a ear, and we look at them to offer us support during our tough times. So that's why relationships are important. Now, what impact has technology today had on the relationships that we have? So, the first thing is our physical interactions, we've kind of limited them. Now, somebody will say, oh, but we've been at home and we've been quarantined. We have to observe self quarantine because of Corona. But Corona has hit us only in 2020. But our physical interaction has been limited for the past, I would say, 10 years or more. Everything today is available at the click of a button, and online is simply galloping. You have food that can be ordered online. Your bookings to the cinema, your travel, your hotel stays, everything can be booked online. You can chat online, everything. You can even shop online today, and the best of the brands are available to you just at the click of a button. So online is the buzzword, which has limited physical interactions. So, with our physical interactions being limited, we've made a new relationship with our gadgets where we've gotten addicted to them. We're anonymous behind screens. We talk to each other behind screens. Now we are even studying online. We are even working online. So truly, online is galloping. And being anonymous behind screens, do we really care about others' emotions? Emotions are ignored. Do we really care before we post, we make a comment on social media? Do we really care about the impact our comment is making on the person who's receiving it? Do we really care about the message that we are sending across on WhatsApp? What is the language we are using? What is the words we are using? Are we really mindful of that? Do we really care? So truly, our emotions have been ignored. We've just ignored emotions, and it's high time we sit back and take stock of how we have lost out on social graces. We've actually not practiced our manners and etiquettes the way they are meant to be, displayed. We've not done that. So how do we go about doing it? We need to stop and think, has today's fast paced, technology driven world made us forget civility? And by civility, I mean our manners and etiquette. Have we stopped building strong relationships? What are the kind of relationships that we are building today? So, today I have a list of 6 key takeaways for you. These are the 6 qualities that I would like you to work on, that I would recommend that you work on, so that you foster healthy relationships which are personally satisfying. You build strength of character, and it helps you leave a positive impression on others. So, the first key takeaway that I would like to talk about would be self discipline. To me, self discipline is the first and foremost quality that we need to possess for a happy and successful life. And self discipline can have its, can be extended to every aspect of our life. So as a student, you can, have it, use it for your studies. You can develop self discipline for your studies, for your diet regime, for your fitness regime. And as you grow, to become a young professional, it can also be, you can also use discipline in your work ethics. Okay. Now, building on self discipline is very simple. It just involves the use of common sense. It'll teach you to make priorities. It'll teach you to think before you act and cut out temptations, excesses, and bad habits. So, just building on self discipline is gets you to use your common sense, make priorities, think before you act, cut out temptations, excesses, and bad habits. What an ideal situation that is. Remember that our actions have an impact on people we care for. Self discipline itself is the practice of care and respect towards ourselves and others around us. And whatever we do, our actions have an impact on the people we care for, on the relationships that are dear to us. You know, it could be our family, it could be our friends. They have an impact on the relationships that are dear to us and the people we care for. Now, doesn't it make sense then to think before you act? you know and it is important for us to see that we don't do things that could have a negative impact on the people that we care for. A negative impact could also be like a ripple effect. Now, what do I mean by a ripple effect or a negative impact? Suppose I've had a terrible day at work. It's been manic, it's been stressful, and I'm really tired. And, I get back home and I'm just very rude to my family. I'm snapping at people. I am, yelling around at the servants of the house. And I'm just, and remember, the family is excited to see me at the end of the day, hoping that we'll all sit together for dinner. And here I am throwing things around and saying and yelling away and snapping at people. Doesn't it have an impact on my family, a negative impact on my family, where not only have I altered the entire mood of the household. The entire household mood is ruined. They were looking forward at meeting me over dinner, excitedly, to share their experiences of the day, listen to my experiences of the day. And suddenly, with all this noise that I have created, everything is just quiet. Everybody is just shut down, and everybody is just, let's just get over with this, and that's it. The entire house atmosphere is ruined. This is what I call a ripple effect. This is what I call a negative impact on the people that we care for. So we have to be aware that by a simple action of ours, how we have impacted, how we, what kind of a reaction it has had on the people that are close to us, our family. As students, I would recommend that you follow mindfulness. You know, you inculcate a system of mindfulness to follow self discipline, which would mean being present in the moment, and being and just concentrating on the activity that you are doing, at that point in time. So, for example, if you're studying, okay, you're in an online class, you're studying, you concentrate on just that one thing for that time that you are supposed to be there. Don't open a parallel device with a chat window and start chatting with your friends. Again, you're anonymous across the screen. Obviously, the person holding the class doesn't know what you are doing. She's not going to keep an eye on 10 or 15 students at the same time. But you have to be true to yourself. Devote that time, concentrate on what you are supposed to do for that moment. Everything else can wait. And definitely your online chat with your friend can wait. Be mindful, concentrate on what you are doing at that minute. Again, when you're at the dining table with family, first of all, let me tell you, it's just simple bad manners to take your phone to the dining table and have it on the table next to your plate where you're dining. It is just downright rude, because you have a temptation to look into your phone every now and then. When you're talking to people, how many of us are guilty of being in a conversation, being in an interaction, a physical interaction with our parents or with friends or with our grandparents, and we are peeping into our phones at the same time that they are talking to us? you know do you think it shows respect? It does not. And it's a very good example of extremely bad manners and bad etiquette that we are displaying. So you have to concentrate. When you are in a physical interaction with somebody, please pay attention towards effective communication. Please be a good listener. Listen to understand and respond, not to react. So you have to be mindful, you have to concentrate. You cannot be multitasking on a chat window or on the phone or something. No. Be mindful, just do what you're supposed to do. If you're eating, eat your food with concentration, you'll enjoy it much better. Have that interaction without outside distractions of your gadgets. And while you are studying, do the same. Concentrate, it'll help you. Now, when we are multitasking, and when I use the word multitasking, I'm using it specifically for having a parallel conversation on our phone while we are engaged in an activity. What happens is, when suppose I'm talking to you and on the side I open my phone and I peep into it once, I peep into it a second time after a few minutes or whatever, after another half an hour or something. Now I'm doing it unconsciously. I'm consciously just looking. It's a behavior. When I'm anxious, I'm probably waiting for a message and I'm going on looking into my phone. But what happens is, behavior, when it becomes a habit, our brain works on autopilot. So if once you do it another time, you do it a third time, it becomes a habit. And then, like an autopilot, it's automatically, while talking, every 2 minutes you're going to look into your phone. Now that's insulting to the person who's sitting in front of you. So develop that self discipline about yourself. that you are going to be mindful and be present in the moment and do the activity that you're supposed to be doing at that time with full concentration. And you will see that as you inculcate self discipline in your routine, in your day to day routine, it will help you make conscious decisions, active informed decisions, consciously, which will help you develop moral and ethical values. And what does developing moral and ethical values get you? People learn to have trust in you. And once people learn to have trust in you, what does it translate into? What is the basic of relationship? The one word that every relationship is based on is trust. So you see how important it is to inculcate self-discipline in yourselves, and how it has an effect on your relationships because of trust. Okay. Now, the second point that I would like to highlight today is something as simple as greeting people. You know, it is a very, very simple thing, but it goes a long way right from the time you're a child to the time you're an adult. And I'll tell you how. So I would suggest that you acknowledge and wish people with a smile. And as you acknowledge people, what does it show? It shows humility on your part. That's the first thing. It shows humility on your part, but for the other person feels respected. He feels wanted. So you're making the other person feel good about himself by, showing that you respect them, you are humble, and you're greeting them. Greet with a smile. Always have a smile on your face, because nobody likes morose looking people. Everybody wants pleasant faces around them and pleasant people around them. Remember that always. Okay. Now, acknowledging and greeting people, I said, shows humility on your part, makes them feel respected and wanted. And I will now just tell you a little story that I read on the internet a few days ago. And I felt good after I read that story. And I'll just share it with you. There was this young man who had just joined an ice factory as a manager. Now, like every other factory, even this ice factory had a start time at 9 a.m. and it went on till about 5 a.m. So at 9 a.m., you heard one shrill bell ring, and everybody dutifully would walk into the ice factory. And at 5, again, there would be another siren that goes off, and everybody would dutifully finish their the work for the day and leave. Now, the security guard would come in at 5, have a cursory round to see that everybody's left, just run an eye over every department and go and shut the factory floor gate and the main gate to the factory. One day it so happened that our Mr. Manager was having a stressful day at work, and he could not finish his daily activity that was planned for the day. He was firefighting on some issues. And as luck would have it, he was at 5 p.m., he was so immersed in his work that he missed hearing the bell, the exit bell. And everybody left the factory. The security guard came, he made his routine check. He didn't bother to get into every cabin that there was. He just made a routine check on the outside and he left, locked the factory, locked the gate, and he left. When this young manager, when he finished his work, he realized, oh my God, it's well past 5, and how do I get out of here? So he tried going around the factory looking for every possible exit that he could, find. And every exit was closed. There was no way out. Suddenly he started feeling cold because being an ice factory, the temperatures were really low. So he started feeling cold. And slowly but surely he started fearing that, oh my God, I'm going to probably freeze till the morning, because it's really getting very cold. So he had almost resigned to his fate, that is what he would have to do through the night. He would have to spend the night in the factory, and in the morning they would discover his frozen body or something. And just as he had thought of that, there was a click on the door, and the door opened, and lo and behold, there was the security officer standing there. And Mr. Manager was suddenly thrilled. And he asked the security officer, he says, "Do you come here every day at this time for a routine check?" And the security officer said, "No. Today, as I went home," he says, "for the last 35 years, I have been invisible. I've been working in this factory for the last 35 years, but I've been invisible to the people working here. You know, they walk in at 9 a.m., they walk out at 5 p.m., but nobody has taken the trouble to ever wish me. So I'm like an invisible person there, and they just go about doing their day to day jobs, and nobody even bothers to talk to me. But, sir, ever since you have joined, you know, every morning I hear a good morning wish from you, and every evening you wish me a pleasant evening when you leave. And today, as I sat to have my dinner and I was just going over the day's events, I realized that in the morning you did wish me a good morning, but I didn't see you in the evening. And I don't remember you having wished me have a pleasant evening this evening. So he says that set off an alarm in my head, and I decided to come back to see if everything was okay with you. And sure enough, this man was in the factory. He'd gotten locked in the factory. So, what does this mean? The security guard was impressed by this man. He had a very good impression about him just because this man greeted him every single day and every single evening. you know what does this teach us? This teaches us to try and have a positive impact on the people who we come across in our day-to-day lives, and we will realize that we end up making caring relationships with them. I go out for a walk every morning. I walk for about 40 minutes, and I meet various people on my walk, different kinds of people, some old, some really young, some very, very young, And it's really nice when they look up to you and they just, they don't know me. But just the fact that they see my face every day, they'll wish me a good morning. And trust me, it feels really nice. So you must make it a habit to greet people. Another thing I would stress upon is when you greet people, try and make eye contact. It shows that you're interested. You're doing it not as, not just looking around and saying good morning just as a chore. You have to say good morning and move on. No. Make eye contact. It means that you're interested. There is an intent towards your saying good morning. So, one is make eye contact, and I would recommend that you don't just stop there. A greeting can be a nice way to initiate a conversation. You can always pleasantly ask the person, "How are you?" You can talk about the weather, make some comment on the weather. Glorious sunshine today. It's a great weather for the outdoors. What a lovely day. The other person will say something. So not only have you initiated a conversation, it's also giving you a chance to work on your communication skills, you know. So if you've actually watched your parents, if you have parents working or into business, you will realize you must have seen them shake hands with a greeting. Every professional, every businessman, every young executive, on meeting his peers, on meeting his seniors, on meeting his management members, on meeting business collaborators, on meeting business partners, the first and foremost thing is shaking hands, greeting the person with a slight introduction, with a small introduction about yourself, you know. And that greeting, that handshake, that little introduction that you make goes a long way, and it sets the tone for the course of the interaction, for the course of the relationship in the days to come. So that's how something as simple as a greeting is. That's how important something as small as a greeting is. So make it a point always to greet people, try and initiate a conversation with them. And while you greet people, keep that smile on, keep that eye contact, you know, and try and leave a positive impact with people who you meet on a day to day level. The third takeaway I would recommend would be to practice empathy. What is empathy? Empathy is the ability to put yourself in the other person's shoes and experience and feel what the other person is experiencing. So, for example, so it's different from sympathy. In sympathy, you feel for the person, and when you talk about empathy, you empathize with the person, you feel with the person, you experience the person's pain, you experience the person's joy. You just share the experience with the other person. So, just to give you a small example of empathy and versus sympathy. So, suppose I have a friend who's lost her job, you know, and if I have to express sympathy, I'll just go up to her and say, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I heard you lost your job. And, yeah, this corona pandemic, a lot of people are going through it. Hopefully, let's see, yeah, if I hear of something, I'll let you know. That's what it is. But if I have to be empathetic towards her, I will express my sorrow at her loss of job, and probably, while feeling the experience with her, probably ideate with her on upskilling herself in some way. Why don't you do this course? Probably it is, it'll get you something better here. Discuss different career options with her. Probably uh, tell her that I'm going to keep you in mind, and I'm going to now refer you to places where I come to know that there is an opening. Maybe I'm going to look for an opening in my company and see if we can fit you in there somewhere. I'll speak to my HR manager, you know, and recommend things, give her hope, you know, give her hope that things will be better soon. So that would be empathy. It's a step forward from sympathy, where you, in sympathy, where you're feeling for the person, but when you empathize, you're feeling with the person, living her sorrow with her, and making her hopeful, giving her solutions, so that she lives with a hope that maybe something better will come her way, you know. So it's an awareness of other people's emotions and their feelings. Okay. Empathy will make you, by empathizing with people, will make you notice their struggles. you know it will make you notice, it will make you aware that you have to be kind to people. It will make you a kinder person when you start practicing empathy. So you notice the struggles and you think of ways you can help the people who are going through their struggle. So again, let me just share this little story with you. There was this little boy who was keen on having a puppy, and some of his neighbors and his friends told him that a dog had just had a litter, and this was at an old farm which was a few blocks away from where he stayed. So one evening, this little boy went. He was very keen to have a puppy. So he took permission from his parents and he walked across to the farm, which was a few blocks away from where he stayed. And he spoke to the owner of the farm and he said, I've heard that there's a dog here who's just had a litter. And could I take a look at the puppies? Man says, sure, why not? And he calls out to the mama dog who comes towards the owner, bouncing, and with her, these little balls of fur rolling, running behind her, little puppies, 5 or 6 of them, following their mama. Now the little boy is looking at them excitedly, and suddenly his gaze falls on the last puppy that's following the dogs. And he notices that this last puppy that's coming by is actually taking time, putting in a lot of effort to match up to the pace of its faster brothers or sisters or whatever, and still not being able to keep pace with them. So he asked the owner of the farm, he says, what an interesting puppy. And why is he doing that? Is he being playful about it, or is he not being able to keep pace? And the owner of the farm sees that this boy is really showing interest in this puppy, and he says, you know, if I were you, I wouldn't even take interest in that puppy. For one, it's weak and there seems to be some problem. He can't run well enough, and it won't be exciting for you to own a puppy that can't run, you know, as fast as you can, and you can't have fun with that dog. So the little boy just bends down and picks up the flare of his trouser and shows the owner of the farm his leg, and his leg is fitted with two metallic braces right down to his artificial shoe on his foot. And he just looks at the owner and he says, even I will not be able to run very fast, you know. So if I decide to buy a puppy, that's the puppy I would want, you know. So this is what empathy does, you know. this is this is what empathy does. It really makes you feel for the other person. Here the boy himself had an issue with his leg, but even if he didn't, you know, just the thought that that's the puppy I would want, even if there is a problem, you know, that in itself is a very big thing. So please understand that we meet a plethora of people in our day-to-day lives, and we have a choice. When we meet these people, we have a choice on hand on how we can behave with them, whether we can be good to them or whether we can be bad to them. But when provided with a chance, realize and consider, you know, what it would mean to the other person for you to be caring and kind to them, you know. Be good irrespective. Not everybody has the same opportunities that we've had. Not everybody is as fortunate as we are. Not everybody is as privileged as we are. Okay, so be mindful of that. Keep that in your mind. Consider and realize when given a chance of how you can help them, how you can be good and kind to them. How can you respect somebody who is in need and not disrespect them because they are in need? How you can value others and not devalue them because today they are in need and they are not as fortunate as you are. And empathy is the thing that will teach you this, you know. So practice empathy, learn empathy, practice empathy. You'll foster healthier relationships with that. You'll realize, you know, how it really works when you are making relationships with people, when you live their pain with them and you empathize with them, it fosters closer bonding. So, practice empathy is what I would recommend. The next point that I would like to talk about is be curious. And when I talk about being curious, I mean ask questions, be eager to learn, you know, be inquisitive, but know where to draw the line. When I say be inquisitive, you really need to know where to draw the line. Don't get on other people's nerves, don't get personal with people. Okay, have light and engaging conversations, but don't get personal with people. So if it wasn't for curiosity prepares the brain for learning. If it wasn't for curiosity, do you think Sir Isaac Newton could have formulated the law of physics? Never. Nor could have Alexander Fleming even have discovered penicillin, you know. So it's only their curiosity, their eagerness to learn more that helped them to get where they are. And it is easier. So when we talk of curiosity in relationships, it is easier to form and maintain relationships where we show an attitude of openness and genuineness. And when I say that, you know, demonstrating an attitude of openness and genuineness, what do I mean by that? I mean, show an interest in people's lives. You know, you have friends, you make friends with a person. First, they are your acquaintances. How do they go on to be your friends? You bond with them at a certain level. And as a part of that bonding, try and talk to them about their likes, their dislikes, their interests, their hobbies. You know, at the workplace, try and get to know your colleagues. And how will you get to know your colleagues better? Try and see what they do after office hours. How do they spend their time? What do they like doing? Do you share some interests in common? You'll have a lot more to talk about. And when you interact with people, you'll realize that there may be certain common threads that you share, you know, or you may meet different people from different backgrounds, different value systems, diverse interests. You'll only get to learn more by being curious and asking questions. So try and ask questions. The other people feel wanted, they feel nice, they feel accepted, they love the fact that you want to know more about them. Okay, so ask questions, show curiosity. Now, if you know, as per our Indian traditional system, the old Indian culture, we had gurus, not teachers. Our teachers today were our gurus of the yesteryears. And these gurus were considered as God. They not only imparted knowledge to their disciples, they also imparted specific skills to their students, to their disciples, and the guru was revered as God. Okay. Now, you never asked the guru a question. It was a sign of disrespect to even question your guru. Okay. But today's education system, has evolved very well to fit in with the changing times. And we are actually encouraged to voice our doubts, show our eagerness to learn more. And it supports enhanced learning by showing curiosity and with an eagerness to learn. But with that freedom that it has given you, let it not override the basic principles of etiquette, which is polite behavior, kindness, and consideration for your teachers. So I would recommend that if you want to know more, if you want to learn more, you're eager to learn more, you're curious to learn more, you know, first seek permission, wait for your turn to speak, request for a turn to speak, seek permission, and once that is granted, only then proceed. Keep the basic principles of etiquette in mind, and I'll repeat, it's respect, it's polite behavior, it's consideration. Not rocket science, very easy to keep in mind. So so ask questions, show keenness in knowing interests of your friends. Even in that, don't intrude on somebody's personal life. So curiosity fuels learning, but keep the etiquette in mind. All right. The next thing would be value for money. We are living in unprecedented times. Life has become difficult for a lot of people. A lot of livelihoods have been lost due to job losses, businesses going bust. Some parents are finding it difficult to make ends meet. And, you know, there is additional pressure on parents in a household with two children, three children, to provide for digital gadgets for each one of them to go through their online classes with the added expenditure of investing in a broadband internet connection. Can you understand the kind of financial burden we are talking about month after month? So while our parents juggle their financial responsibilities, what can we as children do to support them? So the first thing is to, what would the first thing be to support them? It would be to learn the basic way of living in the new normal day is less is more. Make this the mantra for the days to come. Less is more. Minimize wastage. Prioritize on needs versus wants. Don't ask for extravagant things. Take the trouble to know the cost of things around you. Don't make unwanted demands on parents. Okay, so this is what you can do to strengthen the bond with your parents. Understand that there are financial responsibilities they have. Each one of us is struggling today because times ahead are uncertain. We don't know what's going to happen, so it's always nicer to be a support to your parents. Identify between your needs and wants, and within that prioritize, what is more important, what you can do without. Minimize wastage, recycle your paper, whatever you have to, try and work out something where you don't end up making too many demands on your parents. And for parents, they must talk and share their experiences with their children. Parents must share what it is, what their fixed expenditures in a month are, like for rent, your if any debts you have, if the business is not doing well, what is the kind of interest you're paying. A little bit sharing regarding financial responsibility, talking with children helps. Children should know once they come of age. Please share this information with children, you know, and the way children value money, is picked up at a very young age from what children see is the behavior of their parents around money. So be very careful of what knowledge you are imparting to children regarding money, how to deal with money. The way you deal with money is what your child is learning. You are the child's role model. And this behavior will this learning, sorry, of the child, depending on the way he sees the adults of the house behaving with money, this carries on till adulthood. So parents have to be very, very conscientious and see what behavior they are teaching their children to have around money, you know. And this is one of the most important life skills that parents can instill in children. So be very, very careful. Share your insecurities once children come of age, and you must be aware of what learning you are imparting to children regarding the use of money. It makes sense for children to develop a responsible attitude towards money. Last takeaway that I would recommend for you is accept failure. You know, understand that failures are a part of the process. Setbacks are not the final destination. You cannot stop at one setback or one failure once you've encountered it, you know. So failures are part of the process, the final destination. And you cannot prevent obstacles from appearing in life, but what can we do? We can choose how we respond to them. I'm sure somewhere you have in history, you have read about the Civil Disobedience Act of Mahatma Gandhi, the year 1893, the date 7th of June, and the place was, I think, Pietermaritzburg in South Africa. And Gandhiji was ousted from a train. In spite of having a valid first class ticket, he was ousted out of the train for a reason as, for racial discrimination. And what did that do? Did he stop there? He didn't stop there. He inspired civil rights and freedom movements around the world and the one in India. And he went on to be known as the father of the nation in India. So even that behavior of the South Africans, the racial discrimination that he went through, didn't have a negative impact on him. He still continued his fight. And children, we all have an 1893. We all will endure an 1893 at some point in our lives. We will encounter discrimination of whatever kind. We will be ousted from somewhere or the other. But will we stop there? We will learn. We will learn from our mistakes. We will learn from our failures. We will learn and adapt. We will not obsess over failure. Thomas Edison failed 10,000 times before he invented the light bulb. Most of the times our failures are, because we fail because we are scared. We are scared of being judged by the people, by others. We are scared of being judged and we are scared of losing their respect. But please understand, do not give power to others' opinions. Because once you do that, you know, the, you just lose your self confidence. You lose your passion. You lose your confidence. And it's very difficult to pick yourself up from there. So do not give power to others' opinions. Don't stop at one failure. Make it a stepping stone to your success. Continue to live on, continue to fight on, continue to win. And that is what will define you as a person. We must learn to adapt and not stop at one failure. All right. So, as you demonstrate academic ability, keep manners and etiquette, nurture your relationships with respect and kindness. Develop strength of character as you become involved members of society. And sorry, when we talk about failure, let me also talk about Oprah Winfrey. We all know the thing just came to mind, the example, Oprah Winfrey. She took up her first TV job and she was fired out of there because somebody out there thought that she was not fit for the job. But did she stop there? She didn't. She went on to become a successful TV host. She went on to become a producer and an actress. And today she is such a well known name, you know. So don't let failures stop. And as you go on to demonstrate academic ability, which is that is the basic expectation your parents have of you. That's the basic expectation your teachers and your school has of you. Keep in mind also your manners and etiquette because is that will help you nurture your relationships with respect and kindness, and they will also help you develop a sense of character as you become involved members of society. For in the end it does not matter how much money you had, where all you traveled, or what you did. What matters is how you made people feel, the authenticity of your relationships you built, and the amount of integrity you hold. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Shalini. So we have a few questions. So the
Sure.
first one is how to instill etiquettes in our children's personality. That's a very important question.
Very important question. And slowly and steadily, you just need to practice it. You know, you just have to practice it. You just have to be aware of the right behavior. Just keep three things in mind. And let me tell you, just making people comfortable around you and you being comfortable around people, that's the only thing you have to bother about. And learn the finer nuances of your dining and, of dining etiquette, and the others can be learned from practice. You just practice politeness, you practice kind behavior, you practice respect, and that's all that you have to worry about. And these 6 points that I have spoken about, make it your mantra for life. Practice empathy, practice whatever I have spoken to you about, practice self discipline, become a person of integrity, and you'll have your etiquette in place.
Yeah, thank you. And another question is that has today's technology driven world impacted our manners and etiquettes towards building strong relationships with others?
I told you we are anonymous behind screens, and just by being anonymous behind screens, and there are no consequences attached to it.
Yeah.
So, being anonymous behind screens, it's very easy for us to be hurtful to the other person. You may have a friend, you may say something which is rude, and the other person may not like it. Be a person who people can trust. um, Speak the right thing at the right time. Try and practice that. Be polite to people, be kind, don't make rude comments, don't use bad language. These are the things that hurt a relationship. Inadvertently you may say something and the other person gets hurt. And you do not have, because we've limited our physical interactions and we've all drifted towards online and social media and all of that, it does impact because you don't have a chance to even explain yourself,
Yes.
you're not meeting the person, your expressions are not visible, your body language is not visible, which is a very important thing. When you say something, your body language will further substantiate what you're saying. It will support the spoken word, you know so but there's no space for that in online, so that's how you end up kind of people can even misread your messages or your posts or your comments, and that's how relationships get impacted.
Right. So it was indeed a very interesting session. I'm sure our audience must have drawn immense inspiration from today's webinar. You have thrown light on a very sensitive and dynamic topic that holds key importance in today's world. I wish you all the best for your future endeavors, Ms. Shalini, and I thank you on behalf of the DCM group of schools for sharing such wonderful insights with us. I would also like to convey my thanks to all our lovely viewers, and thanks for connecting with us. Stay tuned and stay connected. Thank you.
Thank you so much and wish you all a pleasant evening ahead.